Would it shock you if this is not the first time that Hitler's been turned into an anime girl and lolly character within anime, manga, or light novels? In fact, the first series that comes to mind is Tanya the Evil, which Noble himself even points out. And anyone that's read or watched Tanya will instantly see that, yes, it has very similar themes, it has controversial topics and characters and stuff within it, but the main point of the matter is that this series, Petals of Reincarnation, is getting an anime adaptation, and a lot of people are pretty surprised about this. However, it's not necessarily shocking when you factor in the history of this series. Now, let's get into that one first. First off, this series has been ongoing since 2014 of May, over 11 years. That's a long time, okay? Like, 2014 is such a long time ago. Like, that is literally the same time I made my YouTube channel. It's that long ago. And I have since went on to make thousands upon thousands of different YouTube videos and uploads over the years. So, the fact that it's been basically ongoing as long as I've had my YouTube channel says enough for how old this series is. But obviously, it doesn't just stop there. This series has 22 manga volumes, and anyone that obviously reads manga or knows just how demand is, like, you know, purchasing things and stuff, when a series has 22 volumes, like a manga does, it's clear that there is a dedicated fan base that is actively buying the material and actively reading the material. It has over 100 chapters with 22 volumes, and that means that there is a consistent amount of people reading it to warrant it eventually getting an anime adaptation. The big shock here is the fact that it took so long for this to officially get an anime adaptation in 2025. Actually, it's set to air in 2026 for clarification, but still, it is shocking it's taken this long to get an anime adaptation, especially since it clearly has been relatively popular. It might not be as popular as One Piece, for instance, but it does have a dedicated, you know, readership. Now, we need to get into the core facts. Why has this been delayed for so long? Well, I think it could be a lot of different things. It could be that maybe the series has had offers, like the offer that writes Petals of Reincarnation has been offered to do an anime adaptation in the past, but maybe they turned it down because maybe the adaptation was going to censor their work. It is a very likely possibility, because when it comes to, like, manga or light novels getting asked to be turned into an anime, typically it's brought up to them, and then they can determine if they want to do it or not. And, for instance, they might get some outlines and know that maybe some stuff is going to be toned down or censored, so in this case, maybe the offer was worried, thanks to the controversial nature of Petals of Reincarnation, that if they just instantly started to get it adapted into an anime, it would be instantly censored. That definitely probably could have came up in discussion early on. So one of the big reasons why I think that the series has taken so long to get an anime adaptation could be one of those reasons. Now, obviously I'm not the author. Obviously I'm not the people working on the show or anything like that, because I'm still willing to bet there's going to be some form of censorship within the anime adaptation. But the big point I'm trying to talk about is that most likely it's been pushed off for so long because of the nature of the content. Now, we need to get into that. What is it about, and why is this potentially going to cause a stink? Well, first off, we need to just talk in general about what the series is, because starting off the video with Hitler being a character is pretty crazy. So, the context is that the series is about historical figures being reincarnated, basically in modern day, and forced to fight with supernatural powers. And the powers they have is associated with whatever they're kind of known for throughout history. Take that however you will. And yes, if you think this is similar to anything else, you would be correct. This sounds exactly like Fate Stay Night or Fate Grand Order. You get the point. Like the Holy Grail War. It sounds exactly like that. However, anyone that has dabbled into Fate knows that Fate does add controversial characters here and there, but they don't typically do the outright super heinous historical figures, aka Hitler, for instance. And so Fate has always kind of played it safe when it comes to stuff like that, and so this series does what Fate doesn't. For instance, adding historical figures that are truly demented or controversial, evil, whatever, and adding them into the story. And so it's basically a version of Fate, but slightly different. At least from the general premise. Now, I need to be honest here, and I don't want to lie to you guys. I know about the series, I've seen panels from the series, I've seen conversations over the years about the series, I never sat down and personally have read the series. However, from what I have heard, it is a pretty good read. That's what a lot of people have told me over the years, and I have been recommended this series quite often. However, I will say that I have not read it, so I can't speak for how the current content is 80 chapters in. However, for a series to have over 100 chapters, 22 volumes, it clearly is popular. It's not a unpopular series. Regardless of whatever people want to say on social media, a series doesn't last this long unless it's doing pretty well, at least domestically in Japan. Now, what I do think is that the series deserves to exist. I know that there's going to be a lot of controversy around some of the historical figures that is going to be added. But I think that in general, just because, as I've always said, it makes you uncomfortable and you don't like the subject matter because it makes you uncomfortable or sad or upset or whatever, doesn't mean it shouldn't exist. I think that an artist, author, writer, whatever, should be able to express themselves in any way they see fit, even if it's dark content like this. Completely fair. It's like Takapi, for instance. A lot of people don't want Takapi to exist because obviously it showcased like abuse and just really sad content of what happens to people with a cycle of abuse. There's a lot of people that advocated for that series not to even exist because of that. So just because there's content that's uncomfortable or it's used to really just be edgy doesn't mean it shouldn't exist. So that's what I'm going to say on this. However, I will say it is pretty amusing having a historical figure like Hitler in a manga. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I can't show the images because YouTube would delete my channel. Like, straight up delete my channel if I was to show it. But there is actual manga panels. You could look it up for yourself. Just type in Petals of Reincarnation and then type in, you know, the historical figure. And you will legitimately see that there is the symbols. That the symbols associated with Hitler and everything is there. And I am curious if that's going to be shown in the anime. I'm going to take an educated guess it's going to be censored. I do. Because obviously we live in an age to where content gets censored a lot more. I mean, look what's been going on, what I've been talking about a lot. But also, it's clear that Petals of Reincarnation is going to be presented to a global audience, which means that if it's going to be doing that, they're going to be thinking about that. And so when, like, for instance, they release it on Crunchyroll or something, they can't really just show certain symbols. So I think in general, there's going to be a lot of censorship on that, which is, take that however you will. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about this. It's pretty crazy that this series got an anime adaptation. I think it should exist, obviously, but it's taken a long time for it to happen. I want to point something out that's pretty hilarious about this, by the way. If you look at who's making it, it's called BENTEN Film, and if you click on them, they have not worked on any other anime but Petals of Reincarnation. This is their debut. This is their debut anime, by the way. Like, I want to point that out. Like, if you're wondering what this is a music video, okay? This is a music video they literally released like 3 days ago. But, as you can see, it's a brand new animation studio, and the first thing they are working on is something as controversial as this. That is funny. Like, that's great, man. Oh, it's gonna be a time on the internet, man, when this airs. Like, oh, you know UK is gonna instantly advocate for this to be banned. Like, you know for a fact. But, I'll leave it at that. I just wanted to bring this to people's attention. I thought it was amusing with this announcement and all that. Once again, I have not personally read this series. I just know about it. And knowing it's getting an anime adaptation, I'm definitely going to be watching it. I think it's going to just be funny to see everybody's reaction alongside of the anime. And also, like I said, I've heard it's a pretty good story. So, we'll see where that one goes. Anyways, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.